Welcome to the palindromatic episode 434 of Podcast Unlock, the world's #1 Xbox show. Coming at you this week, we've got some interesting news on the NFL video game front as it pertains to NFL 2K, but hold your excitement for just a minute. Plus, we talked to some developers about exactly what Xbox Series X's power will mean for games. We'll talk a lot about that. And Call of Duty getting its official free-to-play, standalone, Modern Warfare-themed Battle Royale. So all that and more coming up on Podcast Unlocked. All right, Brandon, time to wake up.
Hey, how you doing?
Stay with us, man.
I was trying to get the yawn in before we came back from the sting.
I know your Ori and the Will of the Wisp review posted at 3 a.m.
Yeah,
so
what
you were
a
up late
crazy time.
finalizing it. And
what a crazy time for that. Hashtag
goodness.
good content, you know?
Yes. Ryan McCaffrey, Destin Legary.
Brandon needs a little bam in his morning. I am back on the show. Hello, everybody.
Is that like
Good to see you,
a
audience.
bran muffin, a bam muffin?
Gross.
Can you bake some bam muffins?
Hell yeah, I can.
I feel like you just get smacked in the face with them, though. You don't actually get to eat them.
You
They're not tasty. They're
throw
just
them at people.
Oh my
Bam!
God.
Brandon Tyrell.
Hey, how you doing?
And Amanda Sanchez.
Good morning.
Hi. Super producer John Borba in the corner, off camera, pumping his fist, looking sharp. All right, we got a lot to talk about this week, and I want to start, to the surprise of literally no one, Ori and the Will of the Wisps is a 9 out of 10 amazing video game.
It's a very good video game.
And I say that in such a celebratory way. Like, we were all expecting this game to be great. We had played it at, gosh, I think you and I first played it 2 E3s ago.
2017.
Yeah, a while back.
Wow.
It's looked good every chance we've seen it. And, of course, the first one is one of the best Xbox games, period. So how good is this video game? And my big question is there anything as difficult as the water tower from the first game? Does the difficulty peak as high as it did in Ori 1?
Yeah, there are some there are some of those like really good chase sequences. Like the water tower is an example of a chase where think of like old school Mario Brothers where the side of the screen, it's a sort of an element of platformers we don't see very often anymore. But there are a lot of like, hey, if you slip up, you're just dead moments in Ori, which is really cool because so much of that game is about creative movement and freedom of movement, and then you get in positions or situations where you really do have to play it perfectly, otherwise you're gonna die. Having said that, I didn't find it particularly too hard in any maybe one or two areas. There was like, oh crap, I gotta try this again.
They checkpoint the hell out of you in this
one,
compared to the first one.
There is a new save system, so you don't have to like actively go in and save your game anymore. You can. There are altars around where you can save your game and like replenish your health and your energy. But there's a pretty forgiving checkpoint system now, which I found helpful. I think by the end of the game I died like 130 times.
Wow.
Which, for a game that does incorporate a lot of like, if you touch the lava, you just die. Right. There's a lot of those moments where like, oh crap, I missed a jump. All right. And then it just resets you at the checkpoint and you get to start again. So it's so good, man. It's so good. Like everything about Ori and the Will of the Wisps is it's the foundation that they set in Blind Forest with just more of that, expanded combat systems, expanded movement systems, more enemies. And this time there's a whole theme in Ori of like broadening it, right? Adding more breadth to the game and making it feel like a living world. Because I don't know about you, but in Blind Forest, it's a really good, fun platformer, but a lot of it does feel kind of lonely and isolated, like you're moving through this forest on your own. In this one, there's now a ton of NPCs to talk to you, and whether they're giving you like bits of lore fluff or they're asking you to like do small errands for them.
Side quests.
Yeah, little side quests. None of them are particularly involved. It's a lot of like, hey, go check this thing out, and then you check it out, and they're like, okay, now go back and talk to him again. So
Lore fluff is my favorite kind of lore.
Yeah.
I like that descriptor.
Big Destiny fan over there.
I'm only about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But I love the beginning of it has a lot more story up front than Blind Forest did, which I like.
Some Ori story.
There's some great Ori story going on.
The Ori and the Will of the Wisps starts with a 10-minute cutscene. So, it's great. It is similar to the first game where that opening cutscene is like highs and lows, where you're like, oh, it's so cute and perfect. And no, why? No. And then, you move into the game and, all credit to Moon Studios. They are very good storytellers because they are able to bounce you between feelings of like just so bitter heartbreak. Like bittersweet is, I think, a word I use to describe the story of the game. They bounce you back between like super high peaks of hope and happiness and joy, and then really low like troughs of, oh crap, this sucks. And it's not always about who you think it is. I'm trying not to give too much away, but
your review actually does a good job of showing a lot of beautiful environments and the different moves and combat variety that you're talking about without straight up spoiling stuff. So your reviews,
thank you.
Highly recommend watching it.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me. Is like the story is so important to the Ori story, that I really you can't. I didn't want to give too much away because so much of it is like a gut punch that comes later on, and repeatedly actually throughout different moments where they'll stop and be like, okay, we're doing the thing. We have hope. Things are going to get better. And then you see a flashback and you're just like, oh God, the world sucks. Why are we here? What is the meaning? So there's a lot of those highs and lows in the game, but front to back, top to bottom, it's just an excellent experience. And eventually you just turn your brain off and move through the game seamlessly without thinking about what you're doing. So honestly, can't recommend it enough. Love that game. A quick breakdown on the platforms wise, reviewed it on the PC. It is also on the Xbox, clearly. The Xbox had some stability issues that we ran into during the review process, technical and otherwise. There were some assets that didn't load in, some background stuff that was wonky, a couple of crashes even, some performance stuff.
Can I ask you a question on that?
Yeah, 1 second. So during the review process, it became apparent that like these two platforms are not the same. And
for now,
yeah, we spoke to Microsoft about it. They're aware of all the technical issues on the Xbox side, and they said many of those will be addressed in a day one patch. So rather
today, didn't it?
Yeah, there's supposedly another one coming at some point for some more stability stuff.
Email about that
yeah, we did. So rather than ding the score because of all these technical issues on one platform, we instead decided just to review it on the PC, which is the platform that already has many of the fixes coming to the Xbox. So that way, we can. I'd rather ding the score later than ding it now and have to re-review it and raise the score up because, I am assuming Moon Studios is going to patch the hell out of the Xbox version and it's going to be fine. It's going to be in parity with the PC version. So I want to give them the benefit of the doubt for now rather than potentially having a lower score out there living in the wild because we rarely review games unless they're fundamentally different.
When you tested it on Xbox, was it just like on the internal drive?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I downloaded it to my internal drive.
Yeah. Whenever I run into problems, it'll be like on the external. So it sounds like it's rampant across any installation process that you choose to go with.
Yeah, they're aware that it had issues. I mean, we were speaking before we even got the review code. And they were like, yeah, it's the Xbox version is not.
It's a little behind the PC.
Yeah, it's not on par with the PC version. Yeah.
So it should be good by the time everybody gets it tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I imagine that when it's fully released out into the wild, whatever platform you download it on, it'll be the same version across both.
Yeah. This isn't. A 9 isn't a surprise to anyone, but it's just so nice to sit here and celebrate a great Xbox exclusive.
Yeah.
And again, day one Game Pass.
Oh, yeah.
Straight into Game Pass.
Easy.
It's crazy to me, man.
It's wild.
Yeah.
You just have that subscription and boom, go play a 9 out of 10 video game right now. Day one.
Go do it. Yeah, I obviously 9 out of 10, can't recommend it enough. It's a really beautiful game, really fun game. Took me about 12 hours to get through it. And I did do a lot of stopping and exploring and poking around. So I think there's an achievement in the game to beat it in like 4 hours. So it's possible. But I'd say if you're just mainlining the main story for the first time, it's probably an 8-hour, 10-hour experience.
I feel like that's around what the first one was by my memory. I can't remember. Similar.
Yeah.
Did you cry, BT?
Yeah, I cried.
I teared up at the opening of the first one. Not
Did
gonna
you?
lie.
Yeah, there's
great.
one particular part, a flashback that talks about an antagonist, and I was straight up just getting teary-eyed watching it, and I had to be like, it's not fair. Why can't we all be friends? It's an emotional experience for sure.
Cool.
Well, here's an interesting, I guess, final note on this topic where you and I were talking about this in the office this morning, Brandon, and that's for all the studios that Microsoft has founded and mostly acquired over the last couple of years, Moon Studios is not one of them.
I know. Yeah.
Moon is an independent studio. It's a second-party arrangement.
By choice. They want to be, from what I understand, they want to be independent.
I am curious what the future of that relationship will be. I mean, there's now 2 phenomenal games. The first, these guys are batting 2 for 2. They're batting 1,000. What does the future look like? I wonder if the partnership will continue, or if one or the other will decide, we'd like to try something else or go in a different direction, or could there be an acquisition here at some point? I mean, I don't have answers. These are just things just posing,
look,
but
certainly possible. Anything's possible, but based on what I know, and I might be off base here, but based on what I know from Moon, is that they want to maintain their independence, and they're a decentralized studio. They don't have a main headquarters, and they're scattered all over the place.
I always forget about that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, just in a non-spoiler way. Do you feel like
there is a potential for it?
Well, not just that, but do you kind of feel done? Like, it's a great game, obviously, but do you feel like, 2 games, they've said a lot. Like, do you want more Ori after Ori 2, or do you kind of feel like those were 2 great games? I'm good with it.
It's a good question.
And that's not to speak ill of
not at all
either game, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
right?
sometimes
you're kind of ready to move on.
Look at HBO; they're doing one and done seasons of a lot of shows that I'm like, hey, that's perfect.
Great.
We don't need any more of that.
And sometimes the story doesn't need to go on forever.
Yeah.
And just good to wrap it up and have that satisfaction that you got to go through that and feel satisfied with what you had. So
Didn't The Good Place do
Sometimes.
that? They kind of resolved the
They
story.
ended on 3rd season, but again, they probably could have gone on for another 4 or 5. People were still watching, but at what point do you say we've accomplished what we set out to accomplish?
Yeah, well, that's what they did creatively, right? It was really cool to see actually them come out and say, we could have kept going, but we decided just not to force it and ended at a natural stopping point.
And I admire that, and I think Moon probably could do that in this sort of instance. I'm not trying to give anything away, but I could see the trappings of a 3rd game setup in Ori 2. Nothing's explicitly spelled out, but I could see them moving into another game.
Do you want more of it?
I mean, I'll always play Ori. So yeah,
I know, hard to argue against 9 out of 10 video games.
Here's the thing: is in a vacuum, give me another Ori, But I think that's a super talented team, and it would be interesting to see what they did if it wasn't another Ori. But there's so much talent on that team that I would have a hard time arguing against anything that they would decide to, sort of put their talent toward.
Well, if Phil Spencer doesn't, if there's no acquisition, if one or the other doesn't pursue that, hopefully Phil will at least keep the relationship going and say, hey, let's keep working together on an exclusive basis, because, as you said, an insane amount of talent, as evidenced by these first 2 video games out of that studio. All right, let's pause for a second and talk some news. NFL 2K is back, kinda.
Okay.
I know. Brandon, we're the only 2 kind of football fans at the table, I think.
I'm a 2K fan.
First of all, how
what's
dare you?
What's the one we have in the studio or in the lunchroom? The crazy football game.
Blitz.
Oh, I'm a fan of Blitz.
Well, you're in luck.
Interesting
Justin.
point.
Yeah.
Funny that you bring that up. So this was a really interesting email that I got, and we got briefed on the news. I was on a conference call with 2K and the NFL. So 2K and the NFL have formed an agreement, and there will be new NFL 2K games, plural, but they will be, hold on, let me make sure I get the terminology right, non-simulation football game experiences. So in case
I'm ready.
In case that does not get you fired up, you're like, what?
What does that mean?
That is some corporate speak for not a Madden competitor.
What's the exact quote again?
Non-simulation football game experiences.
Okay.
The games will be non-simulation football game experiences, while specific game titles, developers, and release dates will be announced at a later date. 2K confirmed the projects are in early development and will launch starting in calendar year 2021. So there you go. The reaction to this, it was a very strange reaction cycle online. Like, thankfully, IGN we were explicitly clear in our headline, in our social media post of saying, hey, this is not going to be what you think it is and what you wish it was. But a lot of people were just like, yeah, 2K's back, suck it, Madden, woo, we've got another choice. You sort of. They didn't say what the games are, but Destin, I think it's because it's not a Madden competitor, an NFL Blitz type, arcade fast action experience makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, and if you've never played Blitz, it's in a lot of bars and like
it's an arcade football game.
It's an arcade football game. You pick your play. It's the kind of game where you can run backwards and throw a touchdown from one end of the field to the other.
Yeah.
It's really stupid. You can like hit people after the play, and then you can have this big dog pile moment. Yeah. And it's really dumb arcade fun in football.
Yeah.
So if you're into that sort of thing, it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, Blitz was super popular. I mean, I played the hell out of it as a kid, and they released one, was it like 10 years ago?
They did one. They did one without the NFL license where they tried to have like story mode, and I want to say Lawrence Taylor might have been the face of it.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I'd have to go back and look, but
Miranda, do you play Blitz?
No. I think the only sports games I really got into were like the backyard soccer and backyard
those were good.
Basketball or I forget what it was.
They had them all.
Kind of in the same vein,
Yeah, I feel like if I were to play a football game, which I'm not going to, it would probably be something like Blitz. Just because I like that arcadey fun, like the same thing with racing games. Like, sure, I like it being a little bit serious sometimes, but I want to just have fun with it. And like the arcade style of that is always a little bit more interesting for me.
You would never play a football game? What if they made Yuri on Gridiron?
Okay, maybe I play that. I like football, but I don't have a lot of interest in playing any games like that. Like I'll watch like on and off. I grew up in the Midwest, so football was ingrained.
Big
shoved down your throat.
Everything. I mean, I was in like a marching band and stuff, so I went to all the football games. It was like really fun for me. I did it in college. But playing is a little bit different than like spectating and like being part of that. I guess like energy that's around it. So
the weird thing about this was, I can't imagine. It must have been a whirlwind of emotions at 2K today as the news broke because I got into work and of course I knew the story was going up and I see that Madden is the trending term on Twitter. So I'm like, well, number one, 2K's got to be like, they're trending. What about us? But then when you click into the trend and you start reading through all the tweets, it's everybody that's misinterpreted it and is going, yeah, 2K's back. Suck it, Madden. And what's gonna happen? I guarantee you. Just mark it down. When these games start to actually get announced, however many months that is, those same people are gonna be like, they're gonna be angry and they're gonna be like, you said 2K was coming back.
Wow.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
They were pretty clear about the non-simulation football game experiences. So
experiences.
Game experience.
Yeah.
It could be a mobile game.
Experience is a weird way to phrase that.
Yeah. I mean, when I think of game experience, I think like those weird activations around video games.
Right.
We're all going to get in the parking lot and put on jerseys and we're going to toss a pigskin for like 20 minutes. Like that's what I'm picturing, like branded by 2K. But I think really what it is going to be a Blitz style arcade game with potentially a mobile tie-in.
Yeah, from the quotes that I got that are in our IGN story, I didn't put them in the podcast notes, but 2K did the words. If you look at the quotes they gave me, you can just like see the keywords of like casual and various things where it's just
incentivized.
Yeah, it just
NFL bejeweled.
It sounds like a mobile game will be one of the products, absolutely, and that makes a ton of business sense for them. I mean, the reality is everyone might still win in this if it all goes well, because if they bring back Blitz itself or a Blitz-like experience and it's really good, great. That's something we haven't had. EA certainly still wins because they're uncontested with Madden, but 2K could still make a ton of money with a blitz and with a mobile product. And obviously the NFL wins because there'll be more NFL video games out there. So it would obviously be better if there could be a proper Madden competitor, but at least for now, that's not the case. I see plenty of people out there optimistically choosing to see, well, this opens the door, and I hope you're right. I hope those people are right that whenever the EA exclusivity deal is up for renegotiation again, that maybe 2K will have a foot in the door now and or the league will just decide, hey, we like what's going on with 2K and these other products. Let's open this up and have multiple sim games and have some competition like we used to have.
Yeah. That would be great.
So we'll see. But
I mean, they even used to have like NFL head coach, right? Which is
good memory. I hadn't thought about that game in years.
It's been a while.
In fact,
I worked at EA and worked on that game, and the big innovation was you put the headset on and you just like scream plays into the microphone.
That was original Xbox PS2, was it not?
Yeah.
Yes.
But it was
called Xbox Live Trainer.
I think pretty much. Not as much swearing.
That was in who made that? EA?
Yeah.
Yeah, EA. Okay.
But the point there's a sort of soccer analog to that now as well, still, right? Like football manager.
But that's more of like being the general manager rather than the coach, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Don't forget to drink your water.
So
That's all I got.
Stay hydrated, kids.
Go run some laps.
Call your mother once in a while. So I'm wondering, like, if there's room. I mean, they specifically call out non-simulation, but I wonder if there's room around the sport of football that could be video gameized, that isn't just like an arcadey, 5 guys on the field and everybody hits really hard and there's suplexes and all that stuff.
It's actually an action-adventure RPG called NFL 2K Ballers, based on the HBO show.
The hit HBO show starring The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Yes.
Honestly,
where you try to buy a team and become a super agent.
Yeah.
A mobile experience that I want. So I'm thinking more in my realm now. Bringing football here. You know how cats always get on the field? Like, so there's been like multiple
following.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm going on this
Getting on the
journey with you
field.
right now.
Yeah.
What if they have
An
a
endless
mobile game
runner.
experience about the cats and you have to make it through the field?
Yeah. No,
Like-
that's
like
that's,
Get a touchdown with a cat.
that's a great
And as-
idea.
Yeah, you're choosing how to tilt the game.
That is a great idea.
You could
It's very
customize your
silly.
cat.
I'd play that.
You can pick
Be
different
multiple
avatars.
species.
Like
Yep.
you start out as a cat and then you graduate to like the naked guy who runs on the field.
The drunk
No,
streaker.
you have to unlock that one's a secret.
Exactly. Yeah. You have to unlock it.
Kind of getting in like the vein of weird non-simulation football experiences.
Why not?
Right. It's an endless runner.
Game experiences.
And the higher level you get, the harder the teams are.
What about Fan Simulator, where you pay $400 plus a seat license?
Yeah. Yeah.
For the game, and then you just sit there
DLC.
and watch.
No, you don't just sit there. You then go buy an $8 beer.
Right.
Or a $12 hot dog.
Microtransactions.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you
On simulate.
And
Wait,
then-
actually, that sounds a little too simulation.
Yeah.
then you miss the entire second quarter because you have to pee.
There's-
you're
there
waiting
could
in line at the
be-
bathroom.
There's a puzzle element there, yeah. Well, that's strategy. That could work too.
fine.
Of
We
like
can-
getting to the bathroom, like managing your time to make sure you get the snacks
Yeah,
at the
during
right time.
during the TV timeouts.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, how can we get there before everybody else and maximize my time in my seat?
We're describing Cooking Mama. We're describing Cooking Mama
Yeah,
right now.
Could be there.
Well, anything's on the table except a Madden competitor.
But
That's the
2K's
point.
back.
2K is kind of, sort of, maybe back, but we'll see where it goes. All right, next this week, developers talked to IGN. Our tech editor, Bo Moore, put together a wonderful feature that I would encourage you to read on IGN, where he got in touch with a number of game developers about with the thesis of, okay, hey, professional developer, what will the 12 teraflops of Series X power, what will the features of this thing actually mean for games? And he got some really interesting quotes. I'm just going to read you a couple here. So Elijah Freeman, the VP of games at Virtuous, which is a studio that specializes in ports and remasters, said this: essentially, more teraflops means more GPU to put to work across the game. This means a game can do more impressive things at the same time with fewer compromises. You'll see higher frame rates, for example. With the current generation of consoles offers you 30 or 60 frames, the next gen will be offering you 4K visuals at 60 combined with 1080 at 120 frames per second. Games are going to look slick and buttery smooth at high resolutions. Also, the increased power and speed of consoles like the Series X will mean worlds many times bigger than we've seen before and with more stuff in them too. You'll be able to move around them much quicker, whether that's driving in a high-speed sports car or flying around on a dragon, perhaps with no loading screens at all.
Miranda, do you play at 144 on PC? Brandon?
Yep.
Sorry.
You play at 144 hertz on PC? It is fantastic. And the fact that the console experience is going to push the limits up to 120, I would almost take that over the 4K.
I was just going to ask that.
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough trade-off. Maybe 4K 60 I could do on like your big screen TV because you'll really notice it there. But if you're playing on a smaller monitor, I'd just go 1080 with the frames. Personally.
That's an interesting.
It depends on the game too.
I think it really
Yeah.
depends on the game. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Hellblade would be best 4K 60 for me.
Oh yeah.
A shooter.
For sure.
Yeah,
Probably
like
the frames.
Action game
Like
or
Call of
absolutely.
Duty.
Always give me the frames.
No,
Yeah.
good point. Like, yeah, the Halo Infinite campaign, dial me up
Ooh.
to 4K 60.
Yeah.
But maybe for multiplayer, dial me over to 1080 120.
And you get to choose.
Yeah.
That's what's really cool.
Yes. Hopefully. I mean, hopefully all developers will put those kind of PC level choices into all the console games.
Yeah, I think carrying over the sort of mid-cycle console upgrades that we've seen, do you want performance? Do you want visuals? Do you want... I think
Third-party games have been doing this sort of clumsily for now, but
Yeah.
it's sort of being standardized.
Yeah, some are definitely better at it than others.
Yeah,
Nice.
I think just more options is great depending on what you want. Because there are some people who like don't care between 30 and 60 frames.
Listen, I think it was Call of Duty that I like had options for aim assist and other things, like really getting into the weeds of like how you play on
Yeah.
console, and like that's just awesome to see.
Yeah, Destiny did that on PC. I don't know what they statted it differently for controller versus keyboard and mouse, but you could go in and fine tune a lot of the settings too.
Yeah, and it's usually like a PC exclusive sort of thing, but now seeing it a little bit more across, hopefully console stuff would be great.
Yeah.
So let's hear some more here. Bryant Cannon, the lead developer at Night School Studio, the developer of Oxenfree and the recently released After Party, which is still on my to-play list.
Yeah, same.
Ray tracing, he says, is probably the biggest gap between what game graphics can do and what high-end visual effects and Pixar and movie graphics can do. With ray tracing, which of course the Series X has, they're actually stimulating the lights bouncing from light to different surfaces. And former Naughty Dog boss Bruce Straley added onto this. If now I can write a shader that has subsurface scattering on it and hook it into the ray tracing system, then more people are going to be able to do that. So sort of democratizing these incredible graphics techniques that to date we've only seen really in Pixar films. Here's an anonymous developer, somebody that wanted to not have their name published. I think what's going to be easier for smaller teams in particular, we're talking about Ori today, is to experiment with things that we never thought we could experiment with just because we just didn't have an engine for it. We didn't have the ability to do it. And now just the brute force of this hardware is going to give us that.
Yeah.
So I have to say, total seriousness, the more I hear about the Series X and hear what these developers are saying, I'm getting more excited about this console jump. I don't think we're just going to go to higher resolution. Like there's a lot more again that's going to go on with this console shift, and boy, is it looking sweet.
It feels to me like the developers are actually saying we need to figure out what the new ceiling is to what we can do, as opposed to we need to like sacrifice here, sacrifice there, and the quote that was fewer sacrifices, for what they're making, just absolutely has me excited also because they don't even know what they're going to be able to do now. And they're excited by that, which has me excited, which means this whole generation is going to be about figuring out where that ceiling is.
Yeah, I agree. I think the idea of like that, the line that they wrote, that was the anonymous dev. The brute force element of it is really not the game.
It's not coming back.
Yeah, the brute.
I mean, maybe it is, but
oh my God, the initiative. Is that what you're working on?
no,
Sneaky.
Force.
The brute force element of it is really cool for me, at least in the immediate future, right? Because the first couple of years, it's going to be people figuring out how to use that machine. And if you've just got the raw power, optimization is not such a big deal. So
that's a great point.
Games are going to look better and play better immediately, right off the bat. And then once people start figuring out how to optimize for all that power, that ceiling's going to raise even higher by the end of the generation.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I mean, I'm really curious to see I think Halo and Forza are going to be the two sort of immediate standard bearers for, all right, what does the first wave of this look like? Everything is cross-gen. It's going to work on the Xbox One and the One X for the first 2 years, as we've heard. But I think Infinite and Forza 8, the as yet unannounced Forza 8 that I'm just assuming exists, are going to be the two that of course they'll run on the current hardware, but I think they're going to be the two that we can count on and expect to push the Series X.
They're going to showcase.
Yeah, they're really going to be the ones that you want to show off to your friends.
And that's what a racing game is for, man. It's like you release a new console, one of your launch games is a pretty, with just a pretty car game full of sexy automobiles with light bouncing off them in different conditions. Like, ooh, look at the rain, I think we're going to see immediately right off the bat what this console is going to be capable of, just because car games are designed to look amazing.
We had Fortson Motorsport 5 as the day one launch title, a day one launch title for the Xbox One, and it was an excellent game that, as you duly noted, it absolutely showed off what the new generation would look like. It was very pretty.
The nice thing about this too is this is just the start, just showing out the beginning of what they can do, and we only know that they're going to go further with it in the future, because that's just how the console generations always play out. They just keep expanding on what they can do and the different hardware and the different tech they're working with, and make more and more use of it. So
I think a good example, I'll give you one from each of the current generation and the last one. It's granted nobody's played it publicly yet, but Doom 2016 to Doom Eternal just on Xbox.
Sure.
You can see wow, same series. They've really pushed the hardware some more. Last generation, you could really see that with I just blanked on the example that I had in my head. Oh, Halo, that's right. Halo 3 to Halo 4.
Yeah.
Halo 4 came, at the very end of the 360 generation, and I remember that game was stunning for that hardware.
Yeah. I
remember
remember,
just wow, how did they do this? This is incredible looking.
Yeah, I remember the same experience. Gears of War 1 on the 360, correct?
Up through, and then up to 3.
Yeah.
3 looked a heck of a lot better.
But I remember booting up Gears of War for the first time, and there was a moment a couple hours into the campaign where you come into this big open courtyard, and there's a big ruined area, and there's this sort of God ray streaking down, and I'm like, man, this is the future. We are looking at technology at its finest. Fast forward 5 years, and the console is completely blowing away those graphics, right? So the generational leaps are always really fun to watch, but to Miranda's point, imagine what's going to happen 5 years down the road.
This is just the beginning.
Where the Series XL is just pummeling graphics.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Good time.
Hopefully Microsoft, they've been chatty lately, so hopefully they'll keep that up.
Yeah.
Aren't they
teasing
a show or something?
No, they're just talking.
They have their GDC stuff planned too, and they're going to start talking about it. Believe next week they're just going to live stream everything.
There's a live stream.
xCloud.
That's what I was talking about.
Game dev stuff, and that communication is just so important, because obviously we want to hear about it, but the way they're delivering this information piecemeal, but it's still hearty enough to chew on and kind of really think about as we get closer to, I don't know, whenever they do.
A steady diet, to keep your food analogy going.
I love this. All of this right now.
xCloud is on iPhone now. Have you guys tried it out on iPhone yet? Anybody?
I've not had a chance.
I only tried the initial Android thing that Miranda let me try out
I've
that
just
one
been playing
time.
every now and then.
Yeah. Cool. I got to try it out now on the new stuff.
I know. I got to see what it's how it's shaping up. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
I should do that.
Yeah. Paris, who we had on the show, tried it on an iPad. He said it's pretty good.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's right.
Yeah. We'll have to see.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see that integrate into our daily gaming lives.
Yeah.
Because it's a new thing. We're not used to playing just streaming stuff off of our home Xboxes to your phone while you're commuting into work. So good stuff. All right.
Don't you drive to work?
Well, not me specifically. We get
some of us
you're on
take the
BART.
train.
I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
Just checking.
2 hands on the wheel.
I want to make sure that
worry
you're
about
not okay. All right.
Miranda
you have that
and
auto
Destin.
drive Tesla. So.
Thank you. Yes. Miranda and Destin, Call of Duty Modern Warfare getting its free-to-play Battle Royale mode, Warzone, and it's out today. It's out now.
Rest in peace, Blackout.
Yeah. Before the show, Stella was getting it downloaded. She hopped in and like played one game I got to watch, and she did the tutorial section. So it is working now, but I heard this morning it was pretty rough.
Well,
but they're stabilized.
Par for the course.
Yeah. So they've already stabilized, as far as I know, at the moment of this recording. So don't quote me on that.
I know they're also doing a slower release as far as I think people who played Modern Warfare can get in first, and then just anyone who wants to jump in can after a few hours later. So that kind of probably helps them stabilize their network a little bit.
I want to hear what you guys think of this. Let me tell you about it first. Warzone will officially include 2 modes, Plunder and a 150-player Battle Royale mode, all set in one large map. In Warzone, 150 players will drop into, how do you say that, guys?
Verdansk.
Is that the proper, I don't know, make sure I'm checking with my Call of Duty people. Verdansk, where they can loot weapon and gear and fight to be the last team standing. The developers have added some new features unique to Warzone's Battle Royale, like cash, which can be collected in exchange for equipment, field upgrades, kill streaks, or revive tokens.
That's
what?
Unique to Warzone. I'm like, I've never seen that done
Never seen a
before.
kill streak
Counter-Strike.
Yeah, or cash, but buying stuff between rounds.
Yeah.
There's also an element called contracts, which are optional mini missions that squads can take on to earn rare loot, cash, XP, and weapon XP. Warzone Battle Royale also features multiple ways for players who are eliminated to return to the fight. I like the sound of that. Once eliminated players will be transported to the Gulag, where they can fight other eliminated players for a chance to revive in a 1v1 winner-take-all gunfight.
I love
That's
that
awesome.
so much.
That is really cool.
That was the one feature I was like, okay, I kind of want to play now. I'm going to play anyway, but that's the thing that was really exciting to me.
So for you to get a victory, you have to be like the last two. You kill each other. And then I wondered, do you go to the Gulag? Or no, you wouldn't. At that point, it would be over.
I think they would like if your team's eliminated, you're out kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you could maybe get back in through Gulag, but I think once it's the final stand.
This is the game that never ends. It just goes on and on. No.
I think this one is supposed to be about like sustaining longer though, but based on it's like you're going to have like many missions in it. Like you're not going to just get knocked out immediately. Like there's so many options here to re-equip new items and like just kind of keep your team pushing forward rather than getting knocked out faster than a lot of Battle Royale.
Are there different like focuses in a match? Like you can, it reminds me of like MMOs, like Battlegrounds, right? Where like Alterac Valley and WoW, where it's a one team versus the other team sort of deathmatch or first to X amount of points. But in there you can like do little quests to help the war effort. You know, is it like that, or is it really just sort of kill the enemy players?
It's been out for 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah,
so you're
why don't you know everything about it yet?
So give me the lowdown.
So what I would see this as is more about sustaining your team and like just optimizing for that. It's like how can we get better gear? How can we make sure our Tamagunchis are fed? You know, those are still it's very important to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a thing that you have to buy, which is like a little bummer, but you know, it's just making sure that you guys can keep pushing forward together and like really working together cooperatively to make sure that you can just take on any obstacle that comes across.
I think going free to play was a no-brainer, Miranda. How do you feel about it?
Yes. I mean, it's very silly to launch a Battle Royale and not have it be free to play. Any sort of paywall, you're already like cutting your player base so much more than you need to.
This will now survive longer than the next 7 months until Black Ops 5 comes out this fall.
Which answers the question that we were all asking, what happens to Blackout, right?
Bye.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I'm pretty sure
well, that was the question.
Numbers were down as soon as Modern Warfare came out.
Yeah, well, Call of Duty's an annual release. So is Blackout going to then just be upgraded with each new title, or are they going to, well, now we know. I guess every Call of Duty moving forward, it could potentially have a Battle Royale, a new Battle Royale component to it.
I hope not. I mean, you could, but I don't know. The thing is, like with a lot of multiplayer games these days, you want to be able to live in there and like really refine your skills and stay there for a long time. And the problem with Call of Duty is we keep going back to as an annualized release, you can't really do that. I think that's also something that makes their esports scene a lot less interesting. You can't just stay there and refine your skills in this one kind of game because every release means new mechanics, even just the way the game plays.
It could be World War II guns versus modern guns.
Right. And just like time to kill's different, just the way any sort of
weapon sway.
Just like if you get into the granular details of how the weapons function, it gets so different. So I think if they were to keep, I think what they want to do now, hopefully, is they just capitalize on Warzone. They really focus on that being their battle royale component and just like push that forward and maintain it and really keep it part of the Call of Duty brand instead of just trying to compete with that with a new game. In a different way.
Yeah, and if they keep marketing it, because right now it's really confusing. It's like, okay, so this one has a battle royale, but I have to get the base game, and now it's just download Warzone. That's your answer if you want to play the Call of Duty battle royale, and I think they'll see a big insurgence of new players because of that. They're competing with what? Fortnite and Apex, which is absolutely free. Those are their main
and their established player base in Blackout.
Up there also.
Oh yeah, PUBG's been back up there recently. They've been doing a lot of cool stuff with new maps and things.
Destin, you said you did get you had a chance to watch. Did you watch a full match or just the tutorial bits that Stella was playing?
She did a tutorial. I saw her in the gulag once, getting beat up. She literally hopped in, and then like I saw in the gulag, and then I saw like more about the game and how it functions and everything.
I'm curious. The reason I ask is because I'm wondering how long a 150 player match takes,
especially if you're reintegrating.
Yeah. That could be a while because it's like 99 in Apex.
I don't know about
33. Is it 33 3-person teams in Apex?
Apex is about 20 minutes.
Yeah,
15, 20 minutes.
15, 20.
Long game. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Maybe
think
even less. Maybe even less.
That's if you have like a long game. I feel like.
Really?
No,
for Apex
runs quickly.
They're fast.
I remember. I mean, we did the preview coverage. I don't know how much the map has changed, but we did the preview coverage. That map was big.
There's another map now.
Wow. Okay.
No, I think they reduced the circle closing time maybe because
Just
they go by quick. And like a 15-20 minute match, that's like your first or second. Like if you go,
Right. So part
it's
of
a 30-minute match when you get caught out, or a 30-second match when you're caught out.
It's for this, if you really want to test how long it could go. I mean, obviously watching really capable streamers is one thing you can do, but two, if you want to just like hide somewhere for a very long time, just hunker down, see how long it goes, walk away, come back, and still alive.
Just PUBG that thing. That's what people do in that game, right? Is just hide out.
Sometimes
you got to gear up, but then you kind of hunker down and you try and hug the outside of the circle.
You just you keep the circle touching your back the entire time.
It's kind of like a coward strategy, but that's okay. That's okay. Wow. I mean, sometimes you just want to learn stuff, and like if you're just figuring it out, playing a little bit safer is not necessarily bad.
Yeah.
I think for endgame in PUBG, you have to do that to win.
Yeah. Well, you have to like being strategic as far as like positioning stuff goes. That's not a problem. But if you're playing from the very beginning by just hiding and just like I just don't want to die first, well then you're not really learning the game because you're not really pushing yourself to try to engage in firefights and figure out how you can strategize in certain areas. Anyway.
Absolutely.
No.
We'll have a guide soon. So.
We have a guide right now. I love how deep you go into it.
Well, I mean, there's just so many ways to play first-person shooters, and especially with Call of Duty with a quick time to kill, it's like a very interesting way to play it. And I think if you're going to battle royales, you can just go find an area where you're comfortable with and keep engaging in firefights there. And I think that's like one of the better ways to learn something if you're not just watching a lot and really digging into every area that you can take advantage of and where loot drops. Just learning small chunks at a time and being active in those places will really help you gain an advantage. Anyway, we're not talking about strategy for Battle Royale here, but...
Despite all my rage, I'm still just a rat in a cage. That's the Battle Royale experience right there.
It was really good.
Courtesy of Butthead.
I like that a lot.
I love it.
Randa, one last question.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer. What's your favorite Battle Royale?
Oh, it's Apex.
Yeah, okay.
I love Apex so much.
Mine was PUBG. Now it's Apex.
Yeah, Apex. It just keeps getting better. But that's not all for Warzone.
Yeah,
it's not just the Battle Royale. Yes, so there's also Plunder, which I don't know as much about because I was obviously very focused on just Battle Royale mode because that's what everyone's kind of flocking to. It's a large-scale mode where teams race to collect as much cash as possible. They can do it by raiding supply boxes, eliminating opponents, which is always, a thing you want to do anyway, and completing contracts.
America, the game.
Or controlling cash deposit locations. So you have unlimited respawns with your loadouts, kill streaks, and more. So a little bit more of like a big team.
Yeah.
Just go on around the map.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of
as a
have
new
more
player,
stable.
I would probably hop into this because of the unlimited respawns.
Yeah, and that's like
Could
a
be
good way to kind of acclimate yourself to that. But
Get used to the time to kill, how the weapons feel, all that stuff. That's a
Yeah.
good place to do it.
yeah, absolutely. So interested to see how this all plays out, and I'd
Yeah.
like to hop in.
On paper, this sounds
started-
really good.
I started downloading it before this show
Nice.
at my desk.
Yeah, I want a book report from you next week.
You got it.
I want to see
I lost. Sneak peek, everybody.
peek into the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I am most curious to see how long these games take to finish with that many people, that many teams, that many ways to sustain.
I would have to guess it's rampant deaths for the first like
Death is
10 minutes.
rampant.
Yeah, I mean
then-
that's fun
yeah.
though. Like
It's
dropping
just
in like
a
the hot point of the
massacre.
map and just like hope you all survive. And
Yeah.
then, or
It's just like the kill side. It's just like piling up bodies. Sounds pretty accurate.
God, that's
oh
funny.
my
Yeah.
goodness.
Bringing it back to Xbox. I wonder what this segue. I wonder what this means for Halo
Well,
in particular, because we're
they had previously said they're not doing a battle
I
royale,
know, I know.
so
So
they're not even. They don't even want to go there. They have their own idea of
That's good. You
Halo,
don't
and
need to.
I'm totally for that. I don't need there to be 17 battle royales to pick from.
Have you guys heard of Escape from Tarkov?
Yes.
Yes.
Pretty fun game. If you've played it, it's like
So
super
dense.
realistic.
It's super dense,
It's a
yeah.
lot of info to take in, but I don't think you need to make a battle royale to be successful or competitive in the market. And maybe Halo has something up their sleeves that we don't know about.
Well, I'm less concerned about the battle royale aspect of it, but as we've seen now, they are taking these sort of battle royale-esque experiences, adding a little bit more structure to it. And when you brought up big team battle, it made me start thinking like Halo has done unique multiplayer experiences in the
Warzone
past
firefight.
with
Yeah.
Warzone,
Yeah.
which. The fact this is also called Warzone made me think of it. But I wonder if like maybe Infinite is going to try to do like a Warzone 2.0 thing or
I hope they're
May
innovating.
very well be.
I would imagine they want to do some sort of bigger team thing. Like everyone wants to play with their friends. I mean, sometimes you just want to play on like a grander scale with
Yeah.
that Halo feel.
Particularly that initial teaser of Infinite we got of the Warthog just cruising along that massive open ring. I mean that
Cruising.
that would suggest that there are bigger battlefields at play and bigger spaces to roam. So that would seem to lend itself well to something like that. We shall see. Finally this week, kudos to a listener named Mike Meehan. His gamertag is Aftermath6669. Just getting all the good numbers in there together in one gamertag.
Nice.
He tweeted at Phil Spencer saying, "Hey Phil, can we get a feature to pick and choose what games get auto updated?
Oh my God, yes.
My internet service provider, like many others, has a data cap, so the auto update is turned off. Now I have to wait 2 hours for one update. No gaming tonight." To which Phil replied to him on Twitter and said, "This is a good feature idea. I usually uninstall things I don't want updated and leave the game pinned if I want to come back to it, but I like being able to mark installed games that I don't want updated until I launch them. I'll forward this to the team. Thanks." So I agree with Mike. That's a great feature idea, and thanks
smart.
to Mike, we will probably be seeing that worked into an Xbox dashboard update sooner rather than later.
Yeah, as these games are going to be 4K 60, games are getting bigger, like 100 gig games.
Oh my God, yeah.
They really need to start thinking about this specifically. And I'm glad that Mike brought it up and Phil was responsive.
Because even the updates, the updates are huge too.
The updates are usually 5 gigs. So, yeah.
Right.
Or
like,
more.
Uninstalling is something you can do, but that doesn't really
But then you have to
feel-
reinstall it at some
that's a
point.
day.
If you want to play that again, it's like, well, I'm not playing this right now, but I know later this month I'm going to get back into it for whatever reason. And just kind of juggling that's a little.
Yeah, maybe if you're Phil Spencer and can afford unlimited bandwidth to uninstall and reinstall your games every month.
The internet,
problem.
the internet doesn't grow on trees.
You got that fat Microsoft internet pipe to to tug on.
It's just like a subway tunnel, just full of wire,
full of bandwidth. Yeah,
straight to the house.
Good. So, Mike, good stuff from you. I love that. Glad to see that. We'll roll out to the fleet, as it were, here in the coming weeks or months. Loot box time. Just thanking Mike again by taking his loot box question. He asks, what are some features you want to see from the next Xbox OS as it continues to evolve into next gen? I think that's Mike just flexing. Like, hey, did you check out the feature that I just got added for all you guys? What do you want to see? No.
I would like to see selective auto updates on the next OS. Mike?
I'll go first while you guys contemplate this one. So I've got a cheat answer and then a non-cheat answer. The cheat would be, because he said OS updates, and I have a little hardware thing I want, which is a microphone built into the Series X. I mean, it looks like a Google Home Assistant already, so that you can just do voice commands like
Hey Cortana.
Like Kinect used to be able to do, so that because it's super useful to me for when me or someone in my family is just watching Netflix or doing multimedia stuff. It would be nice because then they don't have to go get the controller, turn it on, hit the button, and they could just say, hey, go to Netflix, pause, next video or whatever. Yeah. So I'd love to see that. But then my non-cheat actual OS answer, I would actually like to have a preference. Maybe this is in there already and I just haven't looked lately, but to a toggle that says I don't want to play with anybody that's in party chat because I want to be able to communicate properly. So there could be like a OS level thing that could designate that. I'd be happy.
For me, they already do a pretty good job of their game capture tools and even their social media tools when you want to tweet or post on Facebook. I think a refining there. Right now, it's a little clunky with at least game clip editing. You have to open like Game Studio, I believe, and then you go in there and you edit it. It'd be great if it just popped up as a surface level thing, because most of the time, all you're doing is trimming, right? So just trim it, post it on Twitter, and it should all be just integrated in a little bit less clunky manner. And that's about it.
It's a good thought. BT?
You pass. My brain isn't working quite right today, and I have some ideas, but hey, I have some ideas, but I'm sitting here thinking like every time I mention that I would love the Xbox to do something, the next 3 days are people on Twitter saying like, "Oh, it actually does that." So I don't.
Then maybe you say what you want, so then someone can tell you that they have it, and then you can go do it.
Every day is like Christmas.
It's all right. Miranda, you got anything over there?
Yeah, so I would like better customization for the home screen. Obviously, we have background, like some like color changing stuff, but I'd like to see that go a little bit further as far as placement of games and like how big certain things are, so I can access stuff. Like if I can just like somehow very efficiently separate my media from my games. It's like, all my apps are like Netflix or for Twitch and like other stuff. Put it somewhere very efficient versus just my game stuff, and like so I don't have to like mess with it all together. Yeah. And then I also would like to have an easy way to clear all of my notifications for messages, for friend requests, for achievement.
I did just go in. At least part of that's in there.
All of it at once.
Yeah. Oh, all of
everything.
it at once. Okay,
like,
yeah.
I just don't want to have to go through and like open a message or like go down to click all the buttons to get through it all. And just delete it.
That's a really good point.
It can be a little annoying for me. I'm one of those people. It's like for the few places where I can control how many notifications I have, I just want to just get it off. And like just clear all the little dots. Like get out of here.
Just mark all as red.
My email will never be clear, but I can at least take care of everything else. So that's kind of just one. It's like this very simple nitpicky thing, but sometimes I just want it to all be just cleared out a little bit faster.
I have 4,000 emails, and I really need to figure out some sort of filtering tool because it's just out of control. That's why it took me so long to respond to you about that thing the other day.
You are really bad about email now.
I don't know what happened. It's like my emails went from like 100 a day, which is manageable, to 1,000 a day.
You got promoted, Dustin. Yeah. You got promoted. Congratulations.
Unsubscribe.
Here's 10 times the email.
I gotta filter some stuff. Also, sorry, Ryan.
It's okay. I know I can go find you if I need you. That's the nice part.
Yeah.
Just go over.
We're like one desk separated.
I could even yell if I'm too lazy to get up.
Yeah.
Destin. Respond to my email.
All right.
All right. If you have a loot box question, send it in. A question you want to pose to the panel that's, of course, Xbox related. Send it to unlocked@ign.com. And now, real quick, before we get out of here, we will do Unlock Block Trivia, which comes to us this week from Ken McDowell. So this is, I was ready to just bypass this one and go, we've gotten this one before. because a lot of people like to send me, I guess it must just, if you just type in Xbox trivia into Google, this must come up. What was the last original Xbox game ever published, which was Madden 09 maybe, or I don't know, one of the Maddens. But here Ken tweaks it in a nice way that I think will test you guys well without being gross and unfair. What was the last non-sports original game released for the original Xbox?
The last
one. So you've got some end of the generation games, or maybe even beyond the end of the generation. Ratatouille, obviously a movie license game. Capcom Classic Collection Volume 2. Thrillville, I don't know if you guys remember that one. That was, I think LucasArts did that, if I remember correctly, and you built your own theme park.
Okay. I knew that name.
And Superman Returns, which was a notoriously bad tie-in to, it was supposed to come out alongside the movie, the Brandon Routh movie, and the game ended up being delayed. The original Xbox version of it, specifically, the 360 version is just pretty mediocre. But the OG, I remember I was at OXM when this came out. The OG Xbox version is like, the textures it's just horrible. I mean, obviously the team they had a tough task, but wow, the original Xbox version of that game was bad. Are you cheating right now?
Yeah, I was actually gonna.
Are you cheating right now?
I was gonna.
Are you Houston Astros-ing this segment?
Nice, I like that. I was gonna Google Superman Returns because I'm like, I don't think I remember this game.
Oh, you were gonna look up the year it came out.
Well, I was gonna.
Sly Devil.
I was gonna look at pictures of it to see if I recognized it, and then I stopped because I forgot that we're in the middle of a competition.
All right, so
I started shooting up the steroids, but then
I only got the needle halfway into my butt.
Right about here. You know what? I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this bit.
So what do you guys think? The last non-sports game released for original Xbox. We know that Madden was the last game, period. But non-sports, those annualized sports releases kept going. I'll just go Destin's way first.
I have no idea. So I'm going with B, Capcom Classics, because I like Capcom Classics.
All right, fair enough. I'll go Brandon's way now.
I also have no idea.
I don't either.
And I'm going to go.
This was new to me.
I'm going to go with B, Capcom Classic Collection Volume 2.
Okay.
Because that was right around the time Capcom released that amazing statement that, no, it was well before they released a statement, but Capcom really leaned into remasters, collections for the longest time. So I feel like that was right around the same time.
Classic Capcom.
Classic Capcom Classics.
There you go. Miranda, any thoughts?
I don't want to do the same one as everybody else because I think that's boring. I also obviously do not know what this is.
It's a risk.
Miranda will get it.
It is. I don't think so.
If you go with B and we're all wrong, nobody loses anything.
Sure, but that's boring for the people listening. There's no stakes here. I don't want to just do that every week.
Well, there's a cool trophy.
No one's listening, let's be honest.
I mean, no stakes for the people listening.
Yeah.
Who have stuck around this long.
Let me pull up the scoring
Drudge through it.
Give your answer.
Yeah, where am I at?
I think... Are we all tied? We're not tied.
No, I'm way behind
3-3-1, because this guy doesn't show up to the show.
That's true. I will just guess D. I don't know how long ago that was or when.
Yeah, I admit I would not have gotten this either. I'd been throwing a dart at a dartboard. Borba, do you want to take a shot? You haven't cheated or anything? You're going with a guess? John Borba, off mic, off camera.
Oh my
thinks
God.
it's Ratatouille, and he is correct.
Wow.
It's Ratatouille.
That was the first one I knocked out because I thought
John.
it was later.
Guess what? He gets on the board now, John.
Me too.
I felt like that was a newer
1
movie.
point.
Not new.
We're going to lose to John.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
Come in, dark.
Ken McDowell, great job. And I could really use more good Xbox trivia questions in our inbox. So you can send those to
Ken.
unlocked@ign.com. Need a question, 4 multiple choice answers, and please note the correct one in your email, and we'll keep playing. We'll see next week. We'll just keep the game right on rolling. We're only in early March, so there's plenty of year left. Nobody's mathematically eliminated, Destin. It's okay. You only
got my point.
You can get there. You got plenty of time.
Yeah, what are there? There's 30, 40 something shows left.
Plenty.
We got
plenty of
time.
shows left to go.
If it was comic book games, I probably would have had a better chance.
All right, that'll do it for the Palindrome episode here, 434 of Podcast Unlocked. You can find me on Twitter at DMC_Ryan. if you want to hear more about the NFL 2K thing, I wrote that story on IGN today. And then not Xbox, sadly, but incredible game nevertheless. Our IGN first game for March is Half-Life Alyx. And I put up my big, just all-encompassing but non-spoilery preview. You can read it on IGN. You can watch it on IGN or YouTube. Would highly encourage you to check it out. Destin.
Yeah, just follow me on Twitter at Destin Legary. I actually don't even tweet that much anymore. I'm so busy. Just got to get back to
follow
work.
you on Twitter where you don't do anything.
Hey, you know what? Actually, check out our new live news show. That's been a huge undertaking for a ton of people here at IGN. We've been working with a lot of people's schedule to get more people on the show so we have a better rotation. And it's been a lot of work for the producers, for the people involved. And I'm just really happy with how it's come out this far. And we're continuing to, adjust it accordingly as we learn how we can sort of poke and prod and tweak it.
So it's live, meaning anything can happen.
It is live. We go over the biggest news of the day every day, 4 p.m. Pacific.
Sounds good. That's 7 p.m. Eastern.
That's correct.
Yeah.
6 p.m. Central.
Where? Oh, where?
YouTube.com/IGN, Mixer.com/IGN, and Twitch.tv/IGN.
Nicely done.
Wow.
Brandon?
Hi. I'm Brandon. You can find me on...
pass out in about 2 minutes.
Hang in there.
Stay with me.
It's just been a long weekend.
You had a lot. That was a tough turnaround.
Dude, that 3 a.m. embargo really screwed
Also,
me
the
over.
time change, so you lost an hour.
I know,
That
right?
wrecked me.
Very
yesterday.
inopportune
I was
timing.
so cranky and just
I know.
not me. It was bad.
Yeah. I told Dan Stapleton last night, I'm going to be in bed by midnight, and it was like 1:30. And I was like, well, okay, with daylight savings, technically I'm only a half hour late. Hey, you can find me on Twitter at Brandon Tyrell. I just put up a little review for a little game called Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which I really love. And I encourage everyone to check out that review. And if you like it, just play it on Game Pass. It's day one.
Exactly.
You already have it if you have Game Pass, which you probably do if you're watching this. So have fun. Ori's great.
Miranda, take us home.
All right. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and pretty much everywhere else at Havoc Rose, and that's Havoc with a K. Last week, I didn't get to talk about this, but I got to go play some more Bleeding Edge. They have a new character coming.
Yes.
After they launch later this month called Meko. It's a dolphin in a mech suit. It's very good. He's
Meko, like Echo the dolphin?
Yeah,
That
exactly.
has to be a
Meko, though,
nod.
because
God,
it's a
that's
mech.
good.
Yeah.
It's super good. It's a super fun character to play too. I think that game's like really fun. It's coming out later this month, so don't forget about it. Really interesting mechanics. So he's a ranged tank, and he's just a little bit more complex. He's marketed as an advanced character, and as someone who plays like a lot more of skill-based things and like kind of hero stuff-based things. Dota. I had to do it. Anyway, it was something that I really wanted to jump into and try to experiment with how far you could push his like synergy with other heroes and how good he works as a tank in a very different kind of setting. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. So please check out my little rundown of Meko on IGN. And I don't know, I have a lot of other stuff coming up. We'll see.
Cool. Well, hope you enjoyed this episode of our non-scripted Xbox talk show experience.
I see what you did there.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next week.